All right, so the California recall election is happening today, and we are going to get to see the outcome of whether or not Gavin Newsom, the neoliberal ghoul who is the current governor of California, is going to be replaced by conservative freak show radio host Larry Elder, who has come out with famous policies like $0 minimum wage and getting rid of basically all COVID precautions. And so this race has been unfolding over the last couple of weeks and months. And recently, we got a spicy new addition to how this race was going to actually be unfolding, as the GOP frontrunner, Larry Elder, has refused to say that he will accept the results from today's election if he is going to lose. And it does look like he is on track to lose right now. So let's go ahead and listen to what he had to say, and then I'll describe why this is so obviously stupid.
Again, whether or not you win or lose, will you accept the results of the election tomorrow?
I think we all ought to be looking at election integrity, no matter whether you're a Democrat, an independent, or a Republican. Let's all make sure that the election is a fair election. So let's all work together, no matter what the results are, to make sure that the results are valid and legitimate, and everybody who voted should have voted. Let's all do that together.
Is that a commitment to accept the results of the election tomorrow?
Let's all do that together. Let's all work together on both sides of the aisle to make sure that the election is a fair election.
Right. So, okay, you see what he's doing right there. It's a little bit less overt than something like Donald Trump would come out and say, but he's effectively refusing to say that he will accept the results if he's going to lose. So basically, if he wins, then he'll come out and say the election was perfect and it was fine. And if he loses, he will come out and say, oh, well, it was rigged in exactly the same way that Donald Trump has done. And in fact, Donald Trump has commented specifically on this California race. Here's what Donald Trump had to say about the recall election. So he says, "Does anybody really believe the California recall election isn't rigged? Millions and millions of mail-in ballots will make this just another giant election scam, no different but less blatant than the 2020 presidential election scam." So listen, I'm hoping that if you're watching my videos, I don't have to tell you that the 2020 election was not in fact rigged. We did the litigation. Trump and his team of his merry band of idiots that were running around bringing these court cases in all of the various different states, they were completely shut down, even by Trump-appointed judges. There was no widespread election fraud in the 2020 election. There is not any widespread election problems with the California electoral system. Nothing is actually happening here other than Republicans, GOP members completely shutting down and refusing to accept reality. That's the new reality that we have. There will never be another election in which Trump-style Republicans are going to accept the result if they actually lose. So this is just the situation that we have right now. And listen, it does look like Larry Elder is on track to get absolutely clomped. Just to give you a perspective here, Biden won this state 63.5% to 34.3%. Okay, this is a heavily Biden area, and so it's not surprising that even a neoliberal ghoul like Gavin Newsom would be able to drum up some support to keep himself in office, and the polls have been showing this. So you see, it got really, really close here, right? Initially, it was around like plus 10 for Gavin Newsom, then it got really close, and it was basically a coin toss as to whether or not Larry Elder or Gavin Newsom would be the next governor. And then you see recently, as Democrats have stepped up their campaigns for Gavin Newsom and against Larry Elder, you see that this gap has widened and widened to the point where it's now at roughly 16, plus 16 for Gavin Newsom. So listen, okay, this is a plus 16 election, all right? It's not going to be rigged. If it was going to be rigged, that would still not even account for a plus 16 difference. So Larry Elder is on track here, even when you account for the fact that a lot of these polls typically underestimate Republican candidates. Even when you account for that, right? Even if you were to give Larry Elder an extra 6 points, an extra 8 points, an extra 10 points, it's still not even close. So according to the polling data that we have right now, it does look like Gavin Newsom is on track to remain the governor of California. And remember how this election basically works. There's going to be two questions on the ballot. The first question is, do you want to recall Gavin Newsom? And then if over 50% say yes to that question, which it doesn't look like they will, then it moves on to the next, and basically whoever has the most votes out of these GOP candidates, which will inevitably be Larry Elder, then Larry Elder would become the governor. So it basically is all dependent on that first question. Do people want to keep Gavin Newsom? Do they want to recall him? And it seems like as of right now, the keep is plus 15, plus 16, even upwards of plus 17, depending on which poll you're looking at. And he's pretty safe right now. So listen, why did this end up happening? Well, I think it ended up happening largely because in that area that you see, if I go back to this polling data here, In this area that you see where it got really close, this was basically at the height of a lot of the criticisms that Gavin Newsom was getting, especially in response to like the criticisms over his hypocritical handling of COVID, as he's, going out and partying with a bunch of lobbyists without masks, while he's simultaneously enforcing mask mandates and, being a general hypocrite, right? As we've seen from other Democrats like Nancy Pelosi as well at the beginning of the pandemic. But then basically this race was essentially, do you want to recall Gavin Newsom? And then it sort of more became, as Larry Elder became the top GOP candidate, it sort of became more of an election that was framed as a Gavin Newsom versus Larry Elder type of election, or even really a Democrat versus a Donald Trump style Republican type of election. And that's where you see this gap start to widen and widen more as people started to learn more about who Larry Elder actually is. Again, a guy who doesn't support the minimum wage, thinks it should be $0, a guy who is pretending to care about all of the problems that California does have, like homelessness and poverty and crime, etc., but deploying these talking points in a completely disingenuous way. Larry Elder obviously is not a serious person. He wouldn't solve any of the problems that he is proposing are Gavin Newsom's fault. And so it seems like a lot of people have seen the reality of this situation and understood that even though Gavin Newsom is a horrible person, a corrupted ghoul, a neoliberal who isn't attempting to solve many of the problems that California actually does have, is still somehow better than what the Republican Party can manage to put through. And having a libertarian like Larry Elder in control of what is essentially like the 5th or 6th largest economy in the world in California would be an absolutely disastrous outcome. So it seems like this is going to be a pretty safe bet for Gavin Newsom, but we're going to have to stick around and see what the ensuing shit show is going to actually look like once Larry Elder inevitably does not accept the results of this election.